When it comes to loading our spines, we want to build a lot of awareness and get as much control and kind of the ability to segment and move each spine and segment individually as possible, but we also want to make sure we're progressing and challenging that and seeing if we can integrate it into more challenging positions. So this variation of spine segmentation is going to be in a hip hinge position, but in the B stance position, so that you are biasing one side versus the other, which is just going to allow you to work through any asymmetries that you might have, expose your body to new lines of tissue, and maybe bring to your awareness some struggles that you have on one leg versus the other that you might not know. So for this exercise, you're going to assume the B stance position. So we're gonna put all of our weight on the right leg, and the back leg is like maybe 10-20%, just kind of there for stability. Then you're going to hinge into a hip hinge. Now, if you are feeling progressed, you can add a dumbbell or med ball or weighted ball in your chest, or you can just hold your hands here, or you can hold your hands here. It's up to you, whatever's the most comfortable. But then from there, you wanna make sure you can sit back into your hip. So we want a little bend in the knee, a lot of bend in the hip till we feel a nice glute and hamstring stretch. Then we're going to round, starting with the tailbone, round the low back, into the mid back, into the upper back, and then reverse it, tailbone up. Find that glute stretch again. Lift into extension in your low back, your mid back, and your upper back, right? So that would be from the tailbone up. Now you're gonna do head down. So round that head and upper back, move down into the mid back, round that tailbone, tuck. You're gonna feel a lot of glute stuff here, and you should make sure that you can feel your foot contact into the ground. Then from here, head up, chest up, mid back extends, and low back extends back into that glute stretch. So that would be one full rep, starting from head and starting from the tailbone. You can do a couple from tailbone up, then pause, do a couple from head down. You can play around with these. It's not like they need to be done in a very specific order. It's just exposing yourself to different positions and movements and gaining some awareness in a different position than you might not normally. Now, the problem with these that a lot of people will run into is as they're doing the movement, instead of staying where they are in their knee and hip, they will kind of come down here and then lift up here, right? That is my pelvis doing a lot of the movement instead of my actual spine. So you should be keeping your position relatively, you should be keeping your hip in the relative same position. So we don't want to see your knee moving forward and back or your hip moving high and low. We really just want to isolate the spine, and that would be one leg. And then you would do the exact same thing on the other leg. This does get pretty fatiguing for the legs, so you might want to take a break in between. But over time, it might expose some asymmetries, but over time it really can start to feel like you're exposing your spine and some of your hip muscles to different positions that might not get loaded, especially if you're somebody who tends to have some asymmetries like scoliosis that are probably never going to go away. So make sure that you implement these into your routine. They are a great way to make spine segmentation not as boring.